Okay. So, hey, this is Malika Evanston Live TV, and I want to welcome to the show today a very, very special guest, Mr. Travis Washington. Now, Travis created the Hands Up Act, and you all need to know what this act is about. This act will make it mandatory that police officers will serve 15 years in prison for shooting any unarmed man or woman. Because as we know, as people have been waking up, the Black community, the Black and Brown community is very, very familiar with police brutality. It's been going on for generations and it's been going on for 400 years. It's been going on how Black and Brown people have been treated by the law. So there's never any discipline action, never. And I watched you, Travis, on your TEDx. I'll be sure to put that link to your TEDx talk because I thought it was so powerful. But you had asked the question that I think is very important. You said, what's the punishment? There's never
absolutely.
There's never a punishment. Or if there is, it doesn't fit that a Black man, Black woman, brown man, brown woman is no longer on the face of the planet, or they've been injured so horribly that they're traumatized for the rest of their life. The punishment never fits the crime. And I just want to even start, I usually say thank yous at the end, but I want to say thank you for creating the Hands Up Act. And I want you to tell the people where it's at right now. I mean, you have over 2 million people who have signed your petition. I'm really surprised no legislators have jumped on this. I'll be, we talked about that. I'll be looking to see like what's going on with that. But I would love for more and more people to just mobilize around you in this because, hello, Jacob Blake, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Tamir Rice. I mean, it's
so many names.
It's so many names.
Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off. Like when I gave a speech in Chicago in front of a crowd, 5,000 people, and then when I gave my speech in Southern Illinois, I jumbled when I came to the names because I every single time when I mentioned like Philando Castile, Alton Sterling, Tamir Rice, Michael Brown, Daniel Shaver, I always end up jumbling because it's like I don't want to forget anybody. I feel guilty about that sometimes, but at the same time, that shows you how sick it is. If I have to remember 100 names.
Exactly.
And then recently Jacob Blake, and you even stumbled a little bit. It's like, how many names?
Right. The list is endless. So please, Travis, tell people about the Hands Up Act, please.
Well, hello, my name is Travis Washington. Got my undergrad in African Studies and Speech Communications. I got my grad in Education Administration. African Studies is the major that woke me up and gave me a level of consciousness. But a few years later, I came up with this idea called the Hands Up Act, where if a police officer shoots somebody unarmed, it's meant to a 15-year prison sentence. I emailed 100 U.S. senators, no responses for a couple of days. And then when I finally got a response from 2 senators, one of them was incredibly racist, started mentioning Black on Black crime. So I remember being on the train, deciding whether or not to post this petition. But then I got this spiritual presence that's like indescribable. Like, heard the voice of Jesus, still to fight on. Like I heard when Dr. King said that when he thought he was going to give up on the civil rights movement, but he heard the voice of Jesus say, still to fight on, because you're never, never alone. And it was an amazing feeling. I felt the presence of Tamir Rice, felt the presence of Michael Brown, felt the presence of Antoine Rose, all in my stomach. It was an indescribable gospel type of feeling. And then I just posted a petition. 2019, after like Pamela Turner got like shot unarmed, it boosted up to 400,000. Then I gave a speech in College Democrats of America. I thought that was enough, 400,000 emailing these governors, but all I got was, hey, we see you type of deal. Then I got up to like 2 million signatures. Like I talked to you earlier about the week where it was, that 1 week where it was like Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, Sean Reed, and George Floyd all in the same week. That's why I got like 2 million signatures within a week. and I was invited out to give a speech in Chicago, in front of a crowd of like 5,000 people. And one of my friends asked, like, "Hey, were you nervous?" I'm like, "When you speaking the truth, you can't be nervous." Like, and like my granny says, with her, she's like, sometimes you don't even. And when people ask you, "Do I need to write this stuff down?" And with my granny, like a lot of people like to write their speeches down. My granny is like, if you're speaking from the heart, sometimes you don't need to write it down. I just spoke my mind. I spoke about how my father's cousin has testicles tased by the Chicago Police Department, and he was forced to admit to a crime he didn't commit. I even mentioned that in my TED Talk, or how in Dawson, Alabama, 1,000 Black men had drugs planted on them. So, yeah, I'm focused on unarmed shootings specifically. That's the goal now. But this police brutality is nothing new. And I finally feel like I can do something about it. It's at 2.7 million signatures. Just, I'm going to continue to keep the pressure up and be incredibly patient. But I tell you what, the more people who know about it, the more signatures it will get.
Wow. You know, I'm really curious. I know you probably don't want to give the senator's name, but I can't believe that they didn't want to jump on this with all that's going on. What is the problem with wanting to punish a police officer? I don't even want to call them police officers, to punish a killer that happens,
an individual, yes,
an individual that happens to be in uniform for cold blood murder.
Well, it's race, and this is what I tell people, and I've said this multiple occasions, and I'm going to see in my TV interview, whether you're brown, black, or white, if a police officer shoots you unarmed, whether you're brown, black, or white, it's unarmed. Because there was a white dude who had his hands up, Daniel Shaver, got shot. He was begging for his life, and I thought that was cruel. That his skin tone didn't matter to me. What are you doing shooting somebody unarmed? And that police officer get hired by a different police force, and he's getting a $30,000 yearly pension. And why senators aren't talking about this, and this is why I say nothing's really, the game has changed a little bit, but that still insecurity to talk out against oppression is still there. Let's think about with the civil rights movement. These senators avoided that for a long time. Now the new civil rights movement is police brutality. And you see that they're trying to be hesitant. But, you know, like my granny said, we shall overcome because we're going to continue to push.
Goodness gracious. And as far as them getting hired at a different police station, that almost just seems like a crime to me. That's a crime. Like, he's
kicking the dog while they're down.
Oh my God. Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord. So the Hands Up Act, I believe if they know that they could possibly get 15 years in prison, they'll start to treat people of color out there, Black men, mainly Black men and women, if they suspect, oh, I thought they had a weapon, they will actually take a little bit more time to check to see, oh, is that a cell phone? Like they do with white men and women.
Yes. And this is why I told people, this is when I felt, I remember texting Michael Brown's mother this. I'm like, you mean tell me these white men, militias, walked in Michigan State Capitol with machine guns, and in Kentucky, and not a single shot was fired? I was like, I even said that on my Instagram, nothing can convince me otherwise that the Hands Up will pass. Like that, I was like, it's going to pass. I was like, there's no doubt in my mind. If I can walk in, if I was white and I could walk into a federal building, a Capitol building with a machine gun and not be punished, the Hands Up Act is going to become law. Like at that moment, if I'm in the House of Representatives and I'm getting my committee hearing or United Nations Human Rights Council, I'm going to say, these men walked in a federal building with machine guns, putting the governors and politicians' lives at risk, and you didn't do anything? And if you know your history, like I do, I used to be a journalist. I wrote a lot of foreign policy pieces. That, and Woodrow Wilson, that's how he committed his coup in Haiti. Like, he sent in 300 Marines into Parliament. Like, that's how you commit a coup. And that's why I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Exactly. Wow. So you have gone to the Capitol.
I actually spoke in front of the Wisconsin State Capitol.
Okay.
I did.
And what was that experience like?
I was outside the Capitol. They didn't let us in because it was during COVID, but it felt good because that means more people knew about my Hands Up Act. The group that I was protesting with have been protesting for the Wisconsin governor and the Wisconsin state legislators to write the Hands Up Act bill. Mm-hmm. And that felt good because I'm like, I'm reaching out to a lot of people. Like a lot of people are believing in my movement.
I would think everybody should believe in your movement. Like,
yeah,
million isn't even enough. I mean, that's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah, no, this is the thing. If it got, I have no doubt in my mind it'll be at 10, 20 million signatures. Just not enough people know about it because we know we're more focused on who has shot unarmed than the solution to stopping it. Mm. And I have the solution, but I'm a very patient person. For my age, I'm very, very patient. I know because I know my history. Things don't happen overnight. Dr. King didn't pass the civil rights bill overnight now. It might seem like overnight in my textbook, but like my granny said, it took a long time. Mm. It took them 10 years. So that's why I'm not worried. It's going to just take time. But with technology and how we're able to be more resourceful in contact with people across the globe, it will happen. It's going to happen.
So how did you come up with the 15 years?
To be completely honest, I think that's a distraction when people ask me that because it's not even a law yet. I think like I'm saying 15 years, 2.7 million people agree with it, so I'm going to go with it. Because if we try to change it up and chalk it up, I'm like, let me talk to the Speaker of the House first, and let's hear what they have to say. Let's negotiate. Let's talk about it. But I'm going with the mandatory 15 years.
Okay. And in your research, I mean, what kind of, well, you're a school teacher, so I know you did heavy research. What were some of the things that you were looking into how the law works in terms of police officers?
One thing I know is that all laws are based upon opinion, is whether or not you have the power to influence it. So I might study this law, but it'd be different in a different state. Like every single state has their law. So I began to realize this has to be a federal law, and these legislative aides, these Harvard, these Yale people have to write the law word from word. It's like with the civil rights bill. Dr. King said push for civil rights, but the legislative aides have to be specific in the details. My part, I'm pushing for the mandatory 15 years. They have to be specific in the details of like how they handle each situation, because I know how the law works. You know how it gets tricky. They try to get rid of Obamacare because of one word. I remember that one word. So that's why I'm like, I'm not even going to stress myself out by, going to the next, because I know that it's up to the legislative aides at the end of the day.
Okay. I don't want to keep you much longer. One, thank you for coming on. Thank you for reaching out. I was like, I hadn't heard of this act. This is.
Yeah. And that's the thing. That's the thing. That's why I'm like, I'm going to be very patient, because like, that's the thing. 2.7 million, you never heard, because if people had heard about it, and this is how I know if other people heard about it, it would be at 30, 20 million. But you just got to wait. It's going to happen.
Well, we're going to help you get it up there. Now, in your TEDx talk, you have brought up another interesting point, the 21st century policing.
Yes.
Obama had pushed, and that was to try to curb the activity, which I truly believe the Hands Up Act will definitely curb some activity.
Yes, it definitely will. It definitely will. You'll think twice, because let's just say if there is a police officer who does think my life is worth less than theirs, are you really going to serve 15 years just to kill me?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You have to really think about it. Is that really a gun or a cell phone? Mm-hmm. Now you're going to definitely tell me, hey, put it down more than once. Instead of shooting somebody like within 2 seconds like they did to Mia Rice.
Exactly. And I think Obama, with the body cams, I think he thought that was going, he probably wanted to do more. Like you had said, he wanted to do more, but they found ways in which to keep him from doing more in terms of police activity. But I really do think that, one, I appreciate Obama putting that out there first. And then I truly believe the Hands Up Act is the nail in the coffin. I mean,
yes.
That's it. That's the answer.
Yes. And then we can focus on the next problem. Like one thing my dad taught my brother. My dad had 3 rules in our house, but one most important rule was you try the best you can. You don't make fun of people that try. We never make fun of somebody. And Obama did the best he could with the tools he had. I don't care what anybody has to say about him, Democrat, Republican. As long as you're trying to help people, I don't care. You tried. Because some things are out of your control. Like I tried to get this petition signed, and you live in the same state as me, and it hasn't. You just found out about it today. You can only do the best you can.
Right, right. Well, we're definitely going to help you get the word out and mobilize around you, because this is very important. Yeah, I never found anybody who tries. I mean, Obama was up against racism that's just unbelievable, blocking him.
Yes.
And you're already coming head to head with some of that racism, trying to block it from happening. But you know what? Thanks to the administration that we have right now, it's exposing those people. So with the Hands Up Act coming out there, anybody who votes against the Hands Up Act, I mean, you might as well go put on a white sheet and just go, walk down the street. It's like, you might as well. So understand that you definitely have my support, and I will help to get the word out as best I can. And, you and I talked about, getting you in front of some other legislators too, who I truly believe would be behind this. Behind this. One more question before I let you go. I know with all of the horrible deaths, traumatic deaths that have been going on in the country because of police brutality, what was it? I always ask people, visionaries, I always ask them, what was it? Were you just laying in bed one night and it hit you, the Hands Up Act? Were you just walking down, like what happened that day that the light bulb just came on, like the Hands Up Act, this is it, this is the answer?
I had it for around 3 years, but I thought I had to be in a position of power to do it. So before I got on the train, my brother dropped me off at before I got on the train, my brother dropped me off, and I saw that police pointing around a police car around the Catholic church, and I was like, if my brother were to get shot unarmed that day, I would die that day, because I'm not dying without my brother. And my parents are going to lose 2 kids, because I'm like, he's not going to get shot unarmed without me, because I'm going to get shot unarmed with them. And that's why I'm like, something has to change. And then when I was hesitant on the train, and like, that's why I told you I felt Tamir Rice, I felt Michael Brown, I felt Antoine Rose. And I was like, if you ever saw the movie, ever see the movie Harriet? Yeah, you remember that scene where she was doing a circle around and she felt that spiritual presence? Like, that's the best way to describe it. My little brother's like, I don't believe Harriet actually got that spiritual feeling. I was like, oh, Tiger, you'd be surprised. Oh, yeah. So my brother like that, and I told him, that's how I got that spiritual feeling from the Hands Up Act. It happens. It's rare to happen, but it happens.
Oh, yes. Yes. Tell your brother, God is real. He speaks. He like touches people with a vision and go forth and make it happen. Go forth and make it happen. But thank you so much for your time today, Travis. Is there anything else that you want to get out there to the people about the Hands Up Act? Right now, you're over 2 million. What's the number that you're wanting to reach, and what's the next and how can we help, and how can people get in touch with you?
To be honest, the best way to help is to email a governor or a city councilman, or like for you example, talk to that state rep. Hey, this has 2.7 million signatures and you're Black. Why aren't you talking to him? Like talk and keep sharing and telling and making sure the conversation comes up. Because the thing is, like I said in my TEDx speech, who was next? And I don't like to read comments at all. I don't read comments, but my fiance read the comment of who's next. And the thing is, that speech came out January 25th. Who's next? Somebody said George Floyd was who's next. Yeah, and they said we found out who was next. Yeah, talk to your state reps. tell them about the Hands Up Act, and I'm after this interview is over, I want to like stay in contact with communication because I want to hear what these state reps have to say. How can they get me a community hearing on the state level? Because once the word is out, this movement is bigger than me. And I want to make sure I be very clear to everybody at home. This is not for profit. I've actually lost money because I want this to pass. And I remember somebody offered me 10,
lives. It's to
exactly.
save lives, bottom line.
Exactly. Somebody offered me 10, 15 grand to get a t-shirt brand going. I was like, no, this is not for that. This is to make the world a better place. And also what I tell people, you cannot use my Hands Up Act as a brand or anything. It's none of that. It is a law. Because I'm doing this for my little brother. I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this for Michael Brown's family, Tamir Rice's family, Anton Rose's family. And I'm stuttering again. I'm sorry. I always stutter. Terrence Cutcher, because there's just so many names. And Jacob Blake recently. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than all of us.
Mm-hmm. And where can people get in touch with you or to sign the petition?
The best way is type in Hands Up Act on Google or go to my email, travis2029@gmail.com.
All right.
My favorite scripture, blessed are those who believe in God without seeing them, John 20:29. So you have to believe in it.
Thank you, Travis. Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful soul, a beautiful spirit. And yes, this is bigger than you. And that is beautiful that you see it and are approaching it that way. It's to save your people. It's to save the community, Black people, brown people, to save us. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. I'm definitely going to message you after. Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you. Okay, you all. So that was Travis Washington. Wow, what a remarkable young man. I don't even know how old he is, but he is just, it's beautiful. The Hands Up Act. I mean, that is an answer to the problem. If someone knows that they could possibly serve 15 years mandatory for killing an unarmed person without taking that time to de-escalate, find out if it's just a cell phone in their hand or just some crazy object in their hand that's not really a weapon, you know, they will think twice before gunning them down. Gosh. So you all, I'll be sure to put the information to get in touch with Travis in the description, so we can all mobilize and get behind him and support him in making the Hands Up Act a law. Make it a law, get it passed, and you know, let's start on this fight against police brutality. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right, you guys, stay tuned. This is Malika, Evanston Live TV.